The Vinaya the Buddha gave to us was more than 2,500 years ago, with different context and circumstance. Nowadays, how could we apply the Vinaya? Our class will run according to the 7th section in Patimokkha. The first section, Pacittiya, was on May the 9th. The second one, Sanghadisesa, was on June the 9th. And the third one, Nisakya Pacittiya, was on July the 9th. And this evening session, Pacittiya, is dealing with the rule entailing confession when transgressed, and thus are considered minor offense. There are 166 rules for Bhikkhuni Pacittiya. The first 96 rules are observed by Bhikkhuni only, and 70 rules from the rule number 97 to 166 are shared with bhikkhus. This evening is Pacittiya part 1. We will have a look at the 70 share rules. For the 96 rule for bhikkhunis only, we will do it on September 9th. Now, let me introduce our speaker to you. Standing. Coming. Okay. Can you see the PowerPoint clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Ven.Dhammanandā is joining us.
พี่แนะนำไปแล้วเหรอคะ
กำลังแนะนำหลวงแม่เจ้าค่ะ
โอเคค่ะ
So, this evening, application of Vinaya in contemporary world, Pacittiya part 1. Our speaker is Venerable Dhammananda Mahā Theri, Abbess of Songdhammakalyanī Monastery, Thailand. Venerable Dhammananda Mahā Theri is previously known as Associate Professor Dr. Chasuman Kabilasingh. She holds a BA honors in philosophy from Visva-Bharati University, Santiniketan, India, and an MA in religion from McMaster University, Canada, and a PhD in Buddhist study from Mahā University, India. She taught Buddhism and Eastern philosophy at Thammasat University for 27 years, from 1973 to 2000. With strong academic background, she is an author and translator more than 100 books. The 2 books regarding Vinaya drawn from her dissertation are A Comparative Study of Bhikkhuni Patimokkha and the Bhikkhuni Patimokkha of the 6th School, She received higher ordination from Sri Lanka in 2003 and became the first fully ordained Theravada Bhikkhuni in Thailand. She gave ordination to more than 100 seminary as of
1,000.
April 6, 2003. Venerable, would you please share your experience and accumulate knowledge with us?
Thank you, Venerable Dhammaparipurna. First of all, allow me to pay respect to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Also, I would like to pay respect particularly to Venerable Upali, who at the first council, he was the one who recited the Vinaya for us. And also, most important is Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda was the one who recorded the teaching of the Buddha and handed down to us up till present. For UTBSI, I would like to pay respect to Venerable P. Sivali, Secretary General of Mahā Buddhist Society of India. He was the one who was really behind UTBSI, and I'm most thankful to him. For UTBSI, we work as a teamwork of coordinators. I would like to pay respect from United States. We have Venerable Tathaloka Mahatheri. From Indonesia, we have Venerable Santini Mahatheri, the one who provided us for this space so that we can meet and we can discuss the Vinaya. Venerable Dr. Liu Fat, she is the secretary of UTBSI. Venerable Bodhicitta, representing Australia as well as Sri Lanka. She is Sri Lankan, but she lives in Australia. Then from Malaysia, last but not the least, Venerable Sumangala and her team. I know that she is watching us from Malaysia right now. From Thailand, apart from myself, Venerable Dr. Sirirat, or now Venerable Dhammaparipurna, is assisting together with Vittayani from Indonesia. So we have to recognize these two, who are really behind the screen and who really make things possible. Thank you so much. And most important, all our audience from different parts of the world to join us tonight. We have heavy rain outside, so you might be, disturbed with the sound, but that is nature. That is nature, so we respect nature also. Vinaya class is not teaching. It's not a class teaching Vinaya as such, but more of the sharing, the attitude towards Vinaya, and how we are to continue to pay respect to the Vinaya. At the same time, we also realize that we live in this modern world. The Vinaya as we have was set down for us more than 2,500 years ago. So there must be adjustment. And this adjustment is very important for us. How do we adjust, but at the same time pay respect to the teaching, pay respect to the Vinaya. So we have been talking about Vinaya for the past three sessions. But first of all, let me talk to you about this. Very interesting. When just before the Buddha passed away, Venerable Ananda asked him who was going to be the master, and the Buddha said, "I already gave you Dharma and Vinaya. Please note Dharma and Vinaya as Deepa. Deepa is an island, as something for you to hold on to." Imagine the teaching of the Buddha passed on from word of mouth, from memory, for more than 450 years before it was actually written down in Sri Lanka, as we have the Tripitaka, the three baskets. The first one is Vinaya, the second one is Sutta or the Dhamma, which the Buddha taught, and the third one, Abhidharma. You note, I mentioned earlier, at the time when the Buddha passed away, there was Dhamma Vinaya. But 450 years afterwards, we have Tripitaka. Abhidharma is added at this time. In Thailand, for the Vinaya that we have, Pali, the language that preserved the teaching of the Buddha, has no script of its own. So therefore, in Thailand, we use Pali in Thai script. And in Thai script, we have 45 volumes. This is amazing, you know. This is amazing. I really think that Tripitaka is something really amazing. For this whole mass of teaching collected and handed down for so long, more than 2,000 years ago, and to us. And we have this 45 volumes in Thai script, intact. Imagine that, as compared to, let's say, Judaism, let's say Christianity, you have one Bible. You know, the first part is Old Testament, much thicker than the latter part, which is New Testament, one book. Then in Islam, you have Al-Quran, the book of heaven, teaching through Nabi Muhammad, also one book. But imagine in Buddhism, we have this huge literature, which is called Tripitaka. Amazing, amazing that we do have this. I would like to talk about the Patimokkha, the one that we are dealing with now. Patimokkha is a set of rules, a set of precepts that we keep. We have both for Bhikkhu Patimokkha and Bhikkhuni Patimokkha. Together it is called Upato Patimokkha. Upato means two. It was the one that I saw in Thai language was published more than 30 years ago. Now it is separated, you know. So the bhikkhus, they print only the bhikkhu part, and they just leave aside the bhikkhuni part. But before that, they were together, and it is called Upato Patimokkha. So now we have to revive our own Bhikkhuni Patimokkha. For the bhikkhus, they have 227 rules. I'm talking about Theravada, okay? Because other schools there will be more. And then for the bhikkhunis, we have 311. This also leads to some misunderstanding. Very interesting. Some people believe that if they take more precepts, they are higher. Which of course I need to correct them that it is not true. Otherwise they get so scared, you know, that the bhikkhunis are higher. Now, if you talk about sections, in these 311 rules that we have and 227 rules that the monks have, for the monks, they have 8 sections. But for the bhikkhunis, we have only 7 sections, which the one that is added for the bhikkhus is called aniyata. I need to talk about this because it comes actually just before Pacittiya for the bhikkhus. In this section, there are only 2 rules. Very interesting. The one who actually reported to the Buddha that maybe these rules should be set up was a woman. Imagine when you study comparative religion, you will find that in some religion, they don't count women. Women cannot stand as witness. But in Buddhism, it is a woman who actually came to report to the Buddha that this is what happened and maybe it is not right for monastic to do it. You know, these 2 rules, a monk should not go in a place together with a woman that people cannot see. And the second one is a monk should not go in a place where people cannot hear. You know, they may be far away in the field, people can see them, but they cannot hear what they are talking. So these are the 2 rules in Aniyata, which in the beginning it was for the monks. But so we thought that we don't have Aniyata. we do have these two rules, but these two rules are, how to say, counted within Pacittiya for us, for the bhikkhunis. So this is important that I mention, because now we are going to directly to Pacittiya. Already we discussed Parajika, the very first one, in our first meeting. Parajika is very important. For the monks, they have four rules, and for the bhikkhunis, we have 8 rules. This is a clear line that by the time the bhikkhunis came into existence, but Parajika, the 4 Parajikas for the monks were already in existence. So we keep the 4 from the monks, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 for the bhikkhunis. Then we have Sanghadisesa. We already discussed this. For the monks, we have 13, and for the bhikkhunis, we have 17. Then Nisakhiya Pacitti, we have 30, and we discussed that in our previous section. This deals with our belongings. You know, as monastics, what kind of belongings do you have apart from your robes and bowl? So mostly Nisakhiya Pacitti deals with how you take care of your robes and your bowls, that when you use your robes and your bowl, you should not be greedy. You know, you should not have more than 1 bowl. And the bowl that you are using, unless there are cracks, more than 4 or 5 cracks, only then you can ask for a new one. So this was the one that we discussed last time. Okay, so today we talk about Pacittiya. But in Pacittiya, there are 166 rules for the monks. For the monks, they have 90. 70 is Satharana. Satharana means public, that which is shared. Both Sanghas shared 70 rules. And 20 rules are particularly for the monks. It's called Asatharana. I already mentioned these 2 words last time that we meet. So, yes, so now we go to what you call it, Deepika prepared. PowerPoint, Venerable Paripurna, please. Next one, please. We go to slide 5. Yes, thank you. Pacittiya. Pacittiya is an offense to be confessed, and confession can be made to an order or to a group or to an individual. It's not serious. It is called Lahukapati, light offense. Somdet Pramahā Samana explains that Pacittiya is a transgression which caused the falling down of kusala karma, good act. It is apatti, it is offense to be mindful of. So when we have committed against Pacittiya, we have to confess to usually to one bhikkhuni, the one that you are close with. The Royal Highness further explained that Pacittiya may be seen in 7 groups. The first one, offenses which make a person a brute, reviling, scolding, like that, bad behavior. Number 2, offenses which make a person naughty, like tickling. Sometimes just for fun, you tickle the bhikkhus, tickle the other bhikkhu, like that. It is a light offense, but it does not look nice. Offenses which degrade a person, for example, telling lie. Number 4, offenses which cause damage. For example, telling others serious offense to householder. This is, I think it's also serious, because it make the householder lose faith in the monastic, in another monastic. Number 5, offenses which cause bad manners or etiquette. Like sometimes, you accept too much food, and sometimes you, whether out of greediness or not, you take too much food in your bowl, and then you cannot finish it, and you throw away food. That is not good, because lay people who actually offer make offering would feel hurtful that you throw away their food. Offenses which show carelessness, for example, using the Sangha's lodging without putting it away, whether it is beddings, pillow. Suppose if you go and stay with this particular community, and when you leave, you are careless about it. You don't even fold the cover properly like that. The last one, offenses against common practices like digging the ground. Now we go into details in this one because there is another Somdet, who explained that digging the ground, if the soil is just placed there within 10 days, then to make sure that you do not harm small insects in the ground, that there's something to be careful. Yes, next one, please. Offenses against Pacittiya are curable. It's called Satekicha, and light is Lahukapatti. Therefore, it requires neither parivasa nor manatta. You don't have to be excommunicated. You don't have to go and stay away from the Sangha. The offender must, however, make confession to the members of Sangha, an order, or to a group, or to an individual, to either monk, to either bhikkhu or bhikkhuni. Bhikkhuni's Pacittiya contain 166 rules. Of those, 70 rules are shared with bhikkhus. Next one, please. Now we look at the shared rules with the bhikkhus. Venerable Paripurna is very kind. The red one is for the bhikkhus, and the blue one is for the bhikkhunis. Telling a conscious lie. Now, consolating speech. I don't understand this, Venerable Paripurna, consolating speech. Slandering.
Insulating, like, insult.
Insult, okay. Making one who is not ordained speaking Dharma line by line. That is teaching others, teaching lay people with Dharma line by line. That is what we are not supposed to do. Sleeping with unordained, male or female, more than 3 nights. For the bhikkhus, male, and for the bhikkhunis, female. I have to tell you my story. When I returned from Canada, I missed my mother so much, but my mother was a bhikkhuni. So I went to sleep with her. She slept on the bed and I slept on the floor, but in the same room. On the 3rd night, when I went there again, she asked me that, you go and sleep elsewhere. I was so hurt because I didn't understand, as bhikkhunis, you're not supposed to be sleeping with other female, even with other female, for more than 3 nights. So she was keeping this Pacittiya. Sleeping in the same room with a woman, sleeping in the same room with a man, for the bhikkhunis, with a man, teaching Dharma to men. This of course has to be adjusted in this modern world because for Dharma class, for Dharma talk, it is for the public, male or female. Next one, please. Speaking of condition to one who is not ordained. Speaking of a condition, this need to be explained, Venerable Paripurna. Speaking of a condition.
I couldn't get it as well. I took from your
maybe
we can have a look at
about other bhikkhunis,
Yes.
Speaking about the condition of other bhikkhunis to one who is not ordained. So that is kind of defaming the Sangha members.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, should any bhikkhuni report her superhuman state to an unordained person when it is sexual, it is to be confessed?
Oh yes, that is boasting of supernatural value. Yes. So speaking of a nun's very bad offense to one who is not ordained. This is the one that I explained earlier. It falls in this one.
Digging the ground.
It is like when it is the problem of the bhikkhunis, we should discuss within Bhikkhuni Sangha. Do not talk about the mistakes or the problems of other bhikkhunis to lay people. they will lose faith in the Sangha in the long run. Digging the ground and destructing vegetable growth. This in the Buddha's time, during the Vasa, that's why we have to stay put during the Vasa. We are not supposed to be traveling, because the monks were traveling and they actually step on the paddy fields, and the farmers complain that this Sakaya Putta, the son of the Sakaya, walk in our field and destroy the vegetable. Evasion อันนี้อะไรหลวงพี่
Some people use like a speech.
Evasive
way.
speech. Okay, yes. Making someone look down upon. You look down upon someone?
Or making someone look down upon by some other people.
This is out of jealousy, when you make other people to look down upon others. Yeah. Yes, it is not kusala citta. The mind is not good. Spreading couch in an open air. In India, they have this bedding. They call bedding. When they spread out in the open air, and sometimes the floor is not clean, so you are not supposed to be doing that. This has to be understood within the context of Indian culture at that time. ต่อไปคะ Spreading couch in a dwelling place. When you spread this couch, this bedding, it means you're going to sleep there. But that place already given to you. Sometimes it is like you are claiming the space. Yes, encroaching upon a nun who arrived there first. Suppose you enter into this sala, this residence, in the hall, in the residential hall, but it's open space. When you enter, you step on the boundary, step on the area of other nuns, creating troubles to the nuns who arrived there before you. The next one is even worse. Throwing out a nun from a dwelling place. Throwing out a nun may not be physically throwing out the body of the nun, but use your words, or sometimes throw out her belongings outside the dwelling place. Sitting on a couch with removable feet, the couch, the legs of the couch. What happened is that this couch with removable legs, they are not stable. And when you go and sit on that, you fall down. So have to be very careful. The next one is to build a big building, putting the width of door frame and window frame, plastered them more than 2-3 layers. This is in the old way of making kuti. You are not supposed to do this, because it would mean that you are making like a large residence, making your kuti like a large residence. That's how I understand. I might be wrong. The next one is to sprinkle grass on clay with water containing lives. Have to be very careful with little things. Remember that Buddhism was going together. The growth of Buddhism was together with this Nigranda. What is the English word for it? The Jain, with the Jain. And the Jain are very particular about this, So because we are competitive. So we have to also be careful that in that sect, in that religion, they don't do this. And we have to be also respecting living things. For the Jain, they wear masks. Even before COVID, they wear masks, so that they don't breathe in insects. That's how the practice of the Jains. The next one is to eating more than one meal at a public rest house. this is out of greed, out of lopa for food. You have already gone to this public sala, public rest house, and you have eaten, and then you go to another one, and then again you eat again. So this is a greed in eating. Next. A group meal except at proper time. You're not supposed to eat together in a group, like you come and you sit around in a group like that. That is the way of lay people. That's why you see monks and nuns, particularly in Theravada, they sit in line, in line like that. They don't talk to each other. They don't face each other and talking. That is not allowed. But this group meal is allowed occasionally, particularly when you travel, or maybe at the time, or you're making jivara. At the end of the vasa, we make jivara. Then this group meal is allowed. Next one is going to a family, taking 2-3 bowls. This is also just to be mindful that as monastics, we should not be greedy in what we take. Eating at the wrong time. What is this wrong time? Vikala. You read through the text. Vikala always means evening, dark, when it's already dark. But here in Theravada, we take this Vikala, particularly about eating at noon. So after noon, after the midday, you're not supposed to be eating. So in Thailand, we considered 18 minutes after 12, that is midday for Thailand. And the Sangha agreed that we don't eat after this. Suppose you sit down and eat at 12 o'clock, you start eating at 12 o'clock and you continued on, that's okay. But do not sit down and start eating after 18 minutes after 12. Yes, that is the practice, at least in this country, in this area. Eating stored food. In those days, they don't have food in the refrigerator, remember. This is difficult to practice now, particularly for the monks, for the bhikkhus, bhikkhunis who are living abroad, in cold country. You always keep food in the refrigerator. This is eating stored food. So that was not allowed in this particular Pacittiya, but in different contexts, we have to also make adjustment. Conveying mouth nutrient, not giving, except water and a toothpick. Mouth nutrient, the drinks, different kind of drinks, it's not offered to you. When it is not offered to you, in Thai culture, when they make offering, they literally have to make offering to your hand. You have to receive it like that. If it's not offered, it is sitting on the table. You're not supposed to take. They are so serious. But sometimes it becomes cumbersome. It becomes cumbersome for the lay people. They already set the table for you, and you know for sure that this table is for you. But the order was not there at the time, and you refuse to eat. You have to wait for someone to offer. This is the practice that we need to discuss. How do we adjust to modern time? Inviting a monk or a nun for alms should dismiss her afterwards. หลวงพี่ก็เขียนมาสั้นมากเลยพูดไม่ถูกพูดต่อไม่ถูก
It's like when you invite some nun with you and then
you invite some nun with you, like suppose like myself, Dhammananda is being invited to this one particular house, and then Dhammananda asked Dhammaparipurna, come with me. But when we get to that place, somehow I just dislike her. Suddenly I dislike her and I send her back. Like that, that is not proper, and it is against Pacittiya. Sitting, intruding on a family. Now this is very interesting. This family with its meal, what does it mean? You really have to dig into the story. It's a husband and wife. They were together and they were going to have sex. this with its meal. It means that. And when a bhikkhu or bhikkhuni enter the room, when these two lay people, they were going to have their own meal, that is not to be done. We have to be very careful as monastics, when we enter or we sit intruding the family. Yes. Sitting in a private or on a secluded seat with a man. Oh, yes. For the bhikkhunis, we are not supposed to. We are not supposed to be sitting and sharing the seat with another, with a man, with any man, whatsoever. In a secluded, away from other people. That is not proper. It is not proper for us bhikkhunis. Sitting in private alone with a man, in the same tone as the previous one. Being invited for a meal and without taking leave of an available nun, go calling on families before or after the meal, except at the proper time. You have already eaten in one house, in one household, you go to the other one after the meal, that is not proper. Accepting invitation for a requisite for 4 months. This is very, very interesting. This when people offer, oh, Venerable, I would like to offer a meal to you, like that. When they offer this kind of thing, you must know that invitation is valid 4 months. Why so? Because after sometimes people get tired. After sometimes people do not have faith in you anymore. So make sure that they make yet another invitation after 4 months. Very important in a practical level. We have experienced this. Sometimes, people are not interested in you anymore, are not interested in the temple anymore, and you still expect them to make offering to the temple. This is not proper. As monastics, we have to be careful on this point. Going to see an army on active duty, unless there is a suitable reason. The army, they are preparing to go for war, suppose. They are preparing to go for war. You go out and watch them. Even when they are parading to go to join the what you call the war. We are not supposed to be doing that. There is a suitable reason. What is this suitable reason? It so happened that your relative is sick, and this relative is together with this army, or maybe one of the soldiers in this army was sick, and that person is related to you and need your help, need to see you, something like that. That is what is supposed to be a suitable reason. Otherwise, we are not supposed to go into this kind of activity. Going to see an army, staying more than 3 nights. In the same tone as the first one. For army, we are not supposed to be involved. We are not supposed to be involved at all. Going to see an army, staying more than 3 nights, going to see sham fighting. What is sham fighting, Venerable?
Fighting? Sham fighting. Sometimes they have fighting among the, how could I say, the army.
Like they make contest?
Not really. But
it is for fun. It is for fun, you go and see this fighting for fun. That is, we are not supposed to be involved in that. The next one. Next page. Drinking fermented liquor. How fermented? How fermented? This was a problem that came up, whether fruit juice, certain fruit juice, whether it has already turned into wine. When it's going to turn into wine. So the discussion was, the color of pigeon's feet. It's still considered, those who drink, they said it is still considered fruit juice, whereas others say that it is already fermented. We have certain kind of food in Thailand. You know, when K come to Thailand, you might taste this khao mak, you know, the rice together with water, together with sugar and preserved. Sometimes they offer to us also. And when we take it, it is fermented. We feel it is fermented. But this fermentation, whether we can take it or we cannot take it, how far is this fermentation was the problem. So, you know, in reality, it is very interesting. And this khao mak, it is called khao mak, rice that it has been fermented. You know, when you have eaten it and your face turned red, that is a no-no already, you know. But sometimes your ears turn red, you know, when you eat this kind of fermented rice. And then one time I was in India and I saw someone climbing the palm tree, you know. So I said, oh, we drink palm juice fresh from the tree. I didn't realize that they have something fermented up there already, you know, when they bring it down. And oh, I bought this, you know, only for $10, fresh tal. What is the English word?
Thotdipam.
So I drank it. I was the first one who drank it. My God, my face all turned red. That was really fermented. But I didn't realize they have put ferment up there, you know. I thought I was taking fresh tal juice. Tickling with fingers or with whatever. As monastics, we don't tickle others. Playing in water. It is like lay people, you know, this behavior is like lay people. You see monks, you know, taking bath for a long time, playing around in the water, and worse if it's bhikkhuni. But this actually happened, and because they were playing in water and they spent so much time that in the olden days, you know, they have this gate. The gate was closed when it was beyond time, and the king could not get in because he was waiting for the monks to finish their bath, but the monks were playing in water. So important. It is not proper. But if we take bath, we just go in the water, wash ourselves, and come up quickly. Being disrespecting others, it is also Pacittiya. Frightening other nun, sometimes for fun, you know, like when in our younger days, you know, we frighten others and then we laugh because that person is really frightened with whatever that you have made. That is not once when we are monastic, we are not supposed to do that. Taking bath within is together, within. Taking bath within half a month. This is a story that came from the king who got stuck because the monks did not finish their bath, you know. So the king complained. So the Buddha said that, you know, when taking bath, this means taking bath in the public place. In the olden days, they have to go to the river. They have to go to that particular riverside to take bath, you know. Then Venerable Gautami complained, you know, among the bhikkhunis. She complained that some of the bhikkhunis smell bad. They really need bath, you know. If they take bath only every 15 days, they really smell bad. And Venerable Gautami reported to the Buddha and asked permission to allow them to take bath more frequently. ต่อไปครับ ถูกไหมควรจะพูดเร็วขึ้นไหมคะมีอีกหลายสไลด์ไหม
อีกประมาณ3 สไลด์ค่ะ
อีก3 สไลด์โอเคค่ะ I just checking with time whether I'm taking too much time. Marking the robe with 3 modes of disfigurement. This is very interesting. When we wear the robe, when we were ordained, we were supposed to mark the robe with dark color. This dark color can be black, can be gray, can be brown. What we do marking the corner. Usually we put the dot on the corner of the robe. Kapang pintung karomi. We say kapang pintung karomi. Now I make a mark. I make a determination to make a mark, which with these marks, it is my robe. Now this very important rule. I think the Mahayana, you ask why the Mahayana they wear this gray, or some they wear black. I think that they might have mistranslated this particular Pacittiya. Instead of making mark with 3 colors, they literally dyed the robe in these 3 colors. That's why you have gray, you have black color, and you have brown. So in Mahayana, I think it is the reason why they wear gray and why they wear black. Possibly because of this mistranslating this particular one. This I'm just only guessing. I have not done any research on that, but I'm just guessing. Making use of a robe without having assigned to others. The robe you have already assigned to others, but you use it. You take that robe back and you use it. The robe is very much individual for ourselves, and when we put on the robe, we have to attistan, we have to make a determination that this robe is mine. You know, when it is already assigned for others, we cannot use it. It is against Pacittiya. Now, playfully, you hide the bowl and the robe of others. This is practiced, you know, out of fun, just to scare them or just to cause trouble to other bhikkhunis. That's why we have Pacittiya, because somebody in the past actually have done this. That's why Pacittiya was set. Killing living things. Killing living things, it means small insects. Because if killing human being, then it is against Parajika. This one is killing living things. The story of this one is very interesting. The crows were really giving trouble to this particular bhikkhu living in the forest. So he made this slingshot and he killed the bird one by one, and he laid down the body of the bird that he killed. So this was reported to the Buddha, and that's why the Buddha said that killing things, it's against Pacittiya. Killing living beings, it means small animals. This one means small animals, as compared to Parajika, killing human being is a different one. Knowingly make use of water containing living beings. In those days, you know, we don't have purified tap water, so we just take water from the river, from the canal, from natural resources, and knowingly we know that in this particular water that we are using, it is with living small insects, you know. So we have to be careful. If we know we should not use, we cannot use. Intentionally arousing remorse in a nun, causing trouble for others, just out of, this one is not fun. This one is out of maybe hatred, maybe out of disliking in that person. So you cause this unhappiness for other bhikkhunis. Going along the same high road with a caravan, theft. Knowingly, you are traveling supposedly from Sravasti to Vesali, along with the caravan. That's because, you know, when you travel alone, it is not safe. So you go along with the caravan. But this caravan happened to be thief. So we are not supposed to do that. As monastics, we are not supposed to do that. ต่อไปค่ะ อันนี้ต้องพี่ต้องอธิบายมากขึ้นค่ะ saying those things called stumbling blocks.
This one is like they saying something that they know what the Buddha taught, but actually they don't know.
So when they explain something that they don't know, they just brush it aside, and this is stumbling block, you know, not necessary something like that, when actually it is a teaching of the Buddha, but they don't understand, but they just put aside with an excuse. Keeping company of none with such statements knowingly together, this comes together with the previous rule. Keeping company of female novice with such statements knowingly, very important if you know a person who does not really understand the teaching of the Buddha, but just simply brush aside the importance of the teaching of the Buddha and saying, oh, this is stumbling block. Very important that if we know that this person is like this, we don't keep company with her. Not willing to improve. When someone suggests for us to behave better, you insist and you say that it doesn't seem that you have this willingness to improve from what you have been doing. Disparaging Patimokkha. I explain together because it comes together. Attending the recitation of the Patimokkha without knowing. Sometimes, you have been listening to, the bhikkhuṇīs have been listening to the recitation of the Patimokkha for many times, but yet still make mistakes. And when somebody said something to you, and then you would say, oh, I don't know. But actually, you have attended Patimokkha, recitation of the Patimokkha, and you know that these rules are there, but you are not keeping it. The next one is being angry, giving a nun a blow. Oh, this is physical harm. Physical harm. So we are not supposed to do that. Raising a palm as though you're going to hit the person, but you are not hitting yet, but as though you are going to hit. So this physical reaction is very important for monastic. Defaming a nun of an unbound charge of an offense entailing a formal meeting. This is how to say, ใส่ร้ายอ่ะใส่ร้ายว่าไง What is the English word for ใส่ร้าย
Because someone without the truth.
Claiming this person has done offense, major offense, against such and such, when that person has not done it. Intentionally arousing remorse in a nun. It is very similar to the previous one that we have read. Overhearing other nuns when they quarrel. You want to know what's happening, you go and overhear, intentionally overhear what they're fighting about. This not good. As monastics, we are supposed to be stopping them, but instead you go and listen, overhear others. Having given consent, should criticize afterwards. We do have bhikkhunis like that, already have given consent. It's okay, you can go ahead and do it. But then afterwards say that, oh, why is she doing that? Oh, that's not good. When you actually literally approve already. Not given consent should rise from the seat. This is in a meeting. When the bhikkhunis are considering something together, you have not given consent. You have not given your ideas. You have not given your approval to the discussion. And then you just get up and leave the Sangha. That is not proper. It is against Pacittiya. Having given away a robe by means of a complete order, should criticize afterwards. This is agreement of the Sangha that the robe should be given to this person. Suppose you were there with the complete order of bhikkhunis, but afterwards you criticize that, oh, giving the robe to Paripurna is not right. She does not deserve it. Something like this. Yes. Next.
The last one.
This is last
Yes.
slide. At least we should have some time for our friends, our audience to ask questions. Yes, knowingly divert to an individual gain that had been allocated for a community. This has been offered to the Sangha, but somehow you manipulate so that things which has been offered to the Sangha has gone to somebody else. Picking up or have someone pick up a valuable of what is considered a valuable, except in a monastery or in a dwelling. You remember the story that when Visakha left her her big set of jewelry, Lada Mahaprasad. And Venerable Ananda was the one who actually kept it for her. That this is in different contexts, but suddenly this one I just remembered that beautiful story of Venerable Ananda as a bhikkhu who attend to the Buddha, and when the people who come to the Buddha should leave something behind, forget and leave something behind, very valuable. So Visakha actually offered that to the Sangha, but nobody could buy it because it's so expensive, and nobody could use this Lada Mahaprasad, the kind of jewelry set that she wears. It covers from her head down her body like that. So in this particular rule, we don't pick up somebody's valuable unless it is in a monastery. In a monastery, in this case, Venerable Ananda picked up and then kept it for the owner. The next one, having a needle case made of bone ivory. This is luxury. We use as monastics. We're supposed to have a small case to put the needle, because we are supposed to do sewing ourselves. No, if our robes are torn, we are supposed to mend the robe, or we're supposed to make the robe. So we always have the use of needles. So they make this needle case, fancy one, make it out of bone, make it out of ivory. As monastics, we don't use that. We use very simple, maybe wooden needle case, or made of brass, but not bone or ivory. Luxury, considered luxury. The legs of cows should not be more than 8 finger breadth. Not too tall. What we are sitting on is not too tall. If it's too tall, you are supposed to cut off the leg so that you don't sit too high up. Having a couch stuffed with cotton, that is how to say, like Raja, like the king, or like the lay people, very comfortable, living very comfortable life, like lay people, so not proper. I remember the chair that I actually gave to Dhamma Paripurna. Formerly it was stuffed, very big, huge one, and after having read this, I felt very uncomfortable. So I had it removed. I had the stuff removed. So it is just plain chair, and we use a little cushion in the back so that it is more monastic-like. Having a skin eruption covering cloth made, it is to be made to the standard measurement. What happened is the bhikkhuni, she had some kind of wound on her legs, and then she had this cloth wrapped, but it is so long, when she walked, sometimes the cloth fell off, and she was dragging it along like that. So it is not proper. The cloth which is used to wrap the wound should not be longer than this measurement. But of course, in the present day, we do not use that anymore. So this is almost how to say, not practicable. But we understand the spirit of the rule, and we keep according to the spirit of the rule. A rope must be 9 by 6 Buddha span. This is also not spelled out exactly what is this 9 by 6 Buddha span. In Thailand, when we go and buy the rope, the one I wear, it is 180 centimeters. For the monks, for the male, it is 200 centimeters, 2 meters, 2 meters long, yes. That is all the slides that you have?
Yes, that's all.
Yes. So how are we doing with time?
Now it's 8 o'clock. Still, we can have some questions from the audience.
The Pacittiya is very long.
Very
Pacittiya
long.
altogether is 166. That's why we have to separate it into 2 sessions. So next time we are going to have the second part of Pacittiya, which deals only for bhikkhunis. It is satharana, not shared with the monks. And I think we don't have to go into details. We may just focus in groups, together in a group, so that we have more time for our audience to come in and share with us with your experience. Please, the floor is yours.
Anjali Aye. I have a question regarding the confession. So in some of the rules, as we adapt to be practical today, what manner do you recommend the confession formula be used? Do you do it literally, or in one community we would say, technically we would have committed such and such an offense, so we acknowledge it within the Patimokkha, but we also understand that times have changed and it would be inappropriate in today's society to follow it exactly. What are your recommendations in that regard?
The very same question I just asked the senior monk, who is a provincial chief. I just asked him last week. He said, look at the mind. It is the mind, the kusala citta. When we don't go away from kusala citta. So when we take these precepts, this Pacittiya, which is minor, lahu kabati, with understanding of the spirit of the rules. We may not literally follow the rule word by word, but we have understood the spirit, why the Buddha laid down these rules. And when we make a confession, one-to-one, on one-to-one basis, before reciting the Pali confession, the formal confession, sometimes we could say in English. For you, in English. For me, I could say in Thai, that I have made this mistake, and then we do the formal confession in Pali. That's what we do. Yes.
Thank you.
But sometimes, don't be, how to say, elastic should not stretch too far. How to say? It's very difficult to explain, but elastic should not stretch too far. But certain precepts is really not practiced anymore because of the context, But yet we read with the understanding of the spirit behind the rules. I think that is very important. Very important.
The part that stands out to me is that you still do the acknowledgement, and this was our thinking, that it helps us not become too elastic because you have to speak what you've done.
Yes.
But it doesn't become a formal confession because you're not confessing something that actually makes sense in today's society. So you're not saying, I'm sorry for doing something, but you are acknowledging that you've done it.
Yes.
And it helps us not get too elastic. I like that very much.
Like I would say to whenever the Dhamma Paripurna, when we do confession between the two of us, I would tell her that this is what I have done. So suppose I hit a mosquito. unknowingly, something like that. Then I told her this is what I did, before we actually make the Pali confession. Yes.
Thank you.
พอสมควรนะหลวงพี่
Yes, can.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes, Venerable Dhammananda, thank you so much for the interesting talk. Again, it's always so nice to see you. And thank you, Venerable Dhammapada. I have a question about Pacittiya 105, speaking of a nun's bad offense to a non-ordained person. What if that bhikkhuni does something criminal and you have to report it to the police?
Criminal is Pacittiya.
To the police.
Criminal is Pacittiya. If you know that this particular person, this particular bhikkhuni has already transgressed Pacittiya, you have to tell the Sangha. If you keep it to yourself, you yourself will be transgressing that offense.
But more than the Sangha, what if that person has done something criminal, like against the law? How can you tell the police something that the police should know? Somebody outside of the Sangha? How do you inform the authorities if it's something very serious? Like
if it is criminal, then in that sense, it should be reported. If this bhikkhuni or bhikkhu, number one, should tell the most immediate superior, like the abbot or the abbess, and then it goes through ไปตามช่องทางว่าไง
Is go to the to report the
formal part.
okay, so then it would go outside the Sangha. Okay.
Yes, it is proper, first of all, to inform the senior in the Sangha, and then they take the step to go to court, to go to police.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing with us. It seems like our Pacittiya section has come to an end. And let me conclude the section just very short. In a nutshell, there are 166 rules of Pacittiya in Bhikkhunis Patimokkha. And today we are dealing with 70 rules, which is shared with bhikkhus. Although the Pacittiyas are not considered as serious as other offenses. For example, parashika, which make the offender defeat, or sankadisesa, which require parivasa and manata, or nisakya Pacittiya, which require forfeiture and confession. It is still very important for pursuing a monastic life. May I take this opportunity to thank Ven.Dhammananda Mahā Therī for sharing her accumulated knowledge, experience to all of us here, and also to all UTBSI coordinator, which Venerable mentioned earlier. Special thanks goes to Most Venerable Santini Mahā Therī and her team, Venerable Vijayani and Venerable Satika, for hosting the Zoom meeting and technical support. Last but not least, I would like to thank all participants attending the class. Without our contribution, the Vinaya class would not make possible. Next section, Pacittiya Part 2, the 96th rule for Bhikkhuni only, will be on September the 9th. May I request Venerable Dhammananda to bless us and
Thank you, Venerable Paripurna. Pavatu sappa mangalang rakantu sappa devata sappa bhuttanupavena sappa dhammanupavena sappa sankhanupavena satha soti bhavantu te.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.